I'll just say one thing, get ready for what's coming, because Portugal is far more surprising and way crazier than you might think. And by the time we get to the final facts, you'll understand exactly what I mean. 50. Cabo da Roca, the wild edge of Europe. Cabo da Roca rises as the windswept westernmost point of mainland Europe, a sheer granite cliff that drops almost vertically into the Atlantic. Its extreme position creates dramatic weather shifts, fierce winter swells, and a rugged beauty that once made ancient navigators believe they were staring at the edge of the known world. The lighthouse perched on top commands views that stretch into an uninterrupted horizon of deep blue water, symbolizing the moment where continental land abruptly yields to the immensity of the ocean. Cabo da Roca's geography isn't simply a point on a map. It is a natural monument to Portugal's relationship with exploration and the sea. 49. Sintra's microclimate mystery. The Sintra mountain rises only a few hundred meters, yet it creates one of the most unusual microclimates in all of Portugal. Humid Atlantic winds crash into the mountain and instantly rise, cooling and condensing into thick fairy tale fog that envelops castles and forests in an otherworldly atmosphere. It's this persistent moisture that allows Sintra's lush vegetation to flourish, from exotic ferns to rare species brought centuries ago by aristocrats. The result is a tiny green world that feels detached from the dry surroundings of Lisbon, creating a geographical pocket where temperature, humidity, and landscape behave unlike any neighboring region. 48. Comporta's endless beach. Comporta is home to one of Europe's longest uninterrupted beaches, a 60-kilometer ribbon of pale sand that stretches along Portugal's Alentejo coast. Its geography is defined by wide dunes, shallow lagoons, and rice fields nourished by the Sado estuary. The combination of soft Atlantic breezes, calm waves, and vast open spaces gives the area an almost untouched feeling. Unlike many European coastlines, Comporta remains free of cliffs or rocky interruptions, creating an optical illusion of a shoreline that never seems to end. This rare geological formation makes Comporta both a sanctuary for wildlife and a tranquil escape for visitors. 47. Benagil's Cathedral Cave. Hidden beneath Algarve's golden cliffs lies the famed Benagil Sea Cave, often called the Cathedral for its towering sandstone dome and dramatic skylight. The cave was carved over thousands of years by relentless Atlantic waves that exploited weaknesses in the limestone, gradually forming a chamber large enough to house a natural beach inside. Sunlight streams through the circular opening overhead, illuminating the turquoise water and golden walls in shifting patterns. Benagil's structure is a perfect example of coastal erosion shaping one of Portugal's most iconic wonders, blending geology, light, and ocean power into a surreal spectacle. 46. Nazare's giant waves. Nazare has become globally famous for hosting the world's largest surfable waves, some surpassing 30 meters in height. These colossal waves are born from a unique underwater feature, the Nazare Canyon, one of the deepest submarine canyons in Europe. As Atlantic swells approach shore, the canyon channels and amplifies their energy, forcing the water upward into towering vertical walls. The contrast between deep and shallow water near the lighthouse accelerates this effect. Nazare's geography transforms ordinary storms into a display of raw ocean force, giving the small fishing town a reputation as the planet's ultimate big wave arena. Before continuing, be sure to subscribe and leave a like to become an expert on the geography of our world. 45. Madeira's sky-high cliffs. Cabo Girão in Madeira stands among the tallest sea cliffs in Europe, rising nearly 600 meters straight from the ocean. The island itself is the exposed peak of a massive shield volcano, its sheer cliffs formed by repeated eruptions and dramatic collapses over millions of years. These vertical rock faces meet the sea in explosive fashion during storms, sending waves crashing far below. The elevation produces sweeping views of terraced farmlands carved into slopes that seem impossibly steep. Madeira's cliffs embody the island's wild volcanic origins, revealing a landscape shaped by lava, erosion, and the unrelenting Atlantic. 44. Madeira's Levadas network. The Levadas of Madeira form a vast network of narrow irrigation channels, spanning more than 2,000 kilometers across the island's rugged mountains. Built over centuries, these waterways collect rainfall from the wetter northern slopes and deliver it to agricultural fields in the south. Their construction required carving through cliffs, digging tunnels, and navigating steep terrain, making them an extraordinary feat of engineering. The Levadas trace contours of the volcanic landscape, often clinging to cliff faces or weaving through dense forests. Today they serve not only as essential water infrastructure, but also as scenic pathways that reveal Madeira's dramatic geography. 43. Pico Mountain, a volcano above the clouds. Pico Mountain stands at 2,351 meters, making it the highest point in Portugal and one of the tallest mountains rising from the Atlantic seabed. Formed by a stratovolcano still considered active, Pico dominates the island with its perfectly symmetrical silhouette. Its summit crater, known as Pico Alto, sits above cloud layers that often wrap around the mountain's midsection, giving climbers the sensation of rising into open sky. The volcanic soil surrounding Pico feeds lush vineyards planted in basalt-walled plots, a UNESCO-recognized landscape created to protect crops from harsh winds. Pico embodies Portugal's dramatic volcanic legacy. 42. Furnas, the village that boils. Furnas on São Miguel Island in the Azores sits atop active volcanic ground where steam vents, boiling mud pools, and hot springs bubble constantly. The proximity of magma beneath the surface heats groundwater to extreme temperatures, creating a landscape filled with geothermal phenomena. One of the village's most unique traditions is cooking cozido, a stew lowered into natural volcanic holes and slow cooked by the Earth's heat. The Furnas Valley also contains a crater lake surrounded by botanical diversity nourished by mineral-rich soils. Few places in Europe showcase volcanic activity as visibly and continuously as Furnas. 41. Sete Cidades Twin Lakes. São Miguel's Sete Cidades volcano holds two lakes separated by a narrow bridge, one blue, one green. The contrasting colors are caused by varying depths, algae concentrations, and light reflection across the caldera basin. Surrounded by towering crater walls blanketed in dense vegetation, the lakes sit at the center of legends that describe them as tears of a shepherd and a princess. The geography of Sete Cidades formed through explosive eruptions that collapsed the volcano's peak, leaving a massive fertile caldera where water settled. Its striking dual-toned appearance makes it one of Portugal's most photographed natural wonders. 40. Europe's only tea plantation. On the northern coast of São Miguel lies Guarana, the oldest and only large-scale tea plantation in Europe. The Azores' mild temperatures, abundant rainfall, SARS, and acidic volcanic soil create ideal conditions for growing tea, conditions rarely found elsewhere on the continent. Since 1883, the plantation has cultivated green and black tea on steep terraced fields overlooking the ocean. The geographical isolation protects crops from pests, reducing the need for chemical treatments. Guarana's unique location demonstrates how Portugal's island microclimates can support crops typically associated with distant regions of Asia. 39. The Marble Triangle of Alentejo. The Alentejo region hides one of the world's richest marble reserves, concentrated in a zone nicknamed the Marble Triangle. Towns like Estremoz, Borba, and Vila Viçosa sit atop enormous marble deposits that extend deep underground, creating a landscape dotted with vast quarries. Portuguese marble is prized for its quality and color variety. Exported worldwide for architecture and sculpture, the geography of the area is shaped by ancient limestone beds transformed under intense pressure into marble over millions of years. These formations not only support a major industry, but also define the appearance of local towns, where marble is used even in sidewalks. 38. Portugal's giant cork forests. Portugal produces more than half of the world's cork, thanks to the expansive Montado ecosystem stretching across the Alentejo and Ribatejo regions. This unique savanna-like landscape is composed of cork oak trees that thrive in hot, dry summers and poor soils. The tree's thick bark regenerates every 9 years, allowing sustainable harvesting that has shaped the region's economy and ecology. Beyond cork production, the Montado supports diverse wildlife, including deer, wild boar, and rare bird species. Its gently rolling geography and ancient trees form one of Portugal's most characteristic rural landscapes. 37. Monsanto, the village built into boulders. Monsanto, often called the most Portuguese village, is built directly into and underneath gigantic granite boulders. These enormous rocks, some weighing hundreds of tons, dominate the landscape, forcing houses to adapt to their shapes rather than the other way around. Narrow streets wind between boulders that serve as natural walls and roofs. The village sits atop a granite hill with expansive views over central Portugal, its geography shaped by millennia of erosion that left behind these massive stone forms. Monsanto's integration of human settlement and geology gives it a surreal, timeless atmosphere. 36. The Vasco da Gama Bridge. Spanning over 17 kilometers across the Tagus River, the Vasco da Gama Bridge is one of the longest in Europe. Its construction required navigating complex estuarine geography, including mudflats, shifting sediments, and tidal variations. The Tagus widens dramatically near Lisbon, creating a vast water plain that the bridge crosses with a series of elevated sections and causeways. The structure highlights the river's importance as Portugal's geographical backbone and demonstrates how engineering adapted to challenging natural conditions. The bridge's sheer length mirrors the scale of the estuary it crosses. 35. The terraced landscape of the Douro Valley. The Douro Valley, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is defined by steep hillsides carved into thousands of terraces used for wine cultivation. These terraces follow the contours of the land, creating a patchwork of stone walls that cling to slopes overlooking the river. The Douro's geography results from millions of years of erosion cutting deep valleys into the Iberian Plateau, leaving behind dramatic inclines ideal for vineyards. The region's microclimates vary with altitude, sun exposure, and river proximity, allowing diverse grape varieties to thrive. It's a striking intersection of natural formation and human adaptation. 34. The Ria Formosa's moving islands. The Ria Formosa in the Algarve is a constantly shifting lagoon system made of barrier islands, sandbanks, and marshes. Tides, currents, and storms continuously reshape the geography, creating new channels while closing old ones. Some islands migrate gradually over time, while others split or merge depending on ocean forces. This dynamic environment supports incredible biodiversity, from migratory birds to seahorses. The lagoon's ever-changing nature makes it one of Portugal's most intriguing coastal landscapes. 33. São Jacinto's living dunes. The dunes of São Jacinto appear at first glance to be a desert, yet they form a living ecosystem shaped by Atlantic winds. These shifting sands move gradually inland, restrained only by vegetation planted to stabilize them. The geography results from centuries of wind-blown sand accumulating into tall dune systems that protect wetlands behind them. Far from lifeless, the dunes support specialized flora and fauna adapted to harsh, salty conditions. Their shape and size evolve continuously, making them one of Portugal's most dynamic natural features. 32. The Tagus, Portugal's dividing line. The Tagus River splits Portugal roughly into two contrasting halves, the greener, more mountainous north and the flatter, drier south. This geographic divide influences climate, agriculture, and even cultural traditions. The river flows more than 1,000 kilometers from Spain to Lisbon, widening dramatically near its mouth as it forms a vast estuary. Its floodplains have supported settlements for millennia, while its waters serve as a crucial resource for the surrounding regions. The Tagus is not just a river, it is a natural boundary that helped shape Portugal's identity. 31. Peneda Gerês, the last great wilderness. Peneda Gerês National Park, Portugal's only national park, is a rugged realm of granite massifs, deep valleys, and cascading waterfalls. Its geography ranges from high plateaus to secluded forests, providing habitat for wolves, wild horses, and golden eagles. Ancient pathways carved into rock reveal centuries of human presence, yet the park remains largely untouched compared to other European landscapes. The dramatic terrain results from tectonic uplift and erosion that sculpted the mountains into their present form. Peneda Gerês represents Portugal's wild, unfiltered nature. 30. The schist villages hidden in the mountains. Deep within the central Portuguese mountains lies a network of villages built almost entirely from dark, glittering schist stone. These settlements, often perched on steep slopes or tucked between forested valleys, blend so seamlessly with the surrounding terrain that they can appear invisible from afar. Their narrow alleys, terraced fields, and stone houses reflect a geography shaped by isolation and centuries of adaptation to harsh mountain life. The schist's natural insulation protected inhabitants from both summer heat and winter cold, while its abundance made it the perfect building material. Today, these villages stand as living museums of Portugal's mountainous interior. 29. The Mira River, the only European river flowing south to north. The Mira River is one of Europe's rare rivers that flows primarily from south to north, defying the usual drainage patterns of the region. Its unusual course is dictated by the surrounding hills and ridges, which channel the water in an unexpected direction before it finally curves westward into the Atlantic. The geography of the Mira Basin creates fertile valleys dotted with cork oak forests, rice fields, and small farms that rely on its gentle, predictable flow. This reversed river system makes the Mira one of Portugal's quiet but fascinating hydrological anomalies. 28. The carved cliffs of Foz Coa. The Coa Valley, carved by the Coa River in northern Portugal, is home to one of the world's largest collections of open-air prehistoric rock engravings. Its geography, deep, narrow valleys bordered by rugged granite walls, protected these artworks for over 20,000 years. The river's persistent erosion revealed flat stone surfaces perfect for ancient artists to carve animals, hunting scenes, and abstract symbols. The valley's isolation ensured that the engravings remained untouched until the 20th century. Today, the Coa Valley is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that reveals how geography can preserve human history across millennia. 27. The volcanic desert of Capello. On the island of Faial in the Azores lies the Capello Peninsula, a stark volcanic desert created by centuries of eruptions. Its defining feature is the lunar-like landscape stretching between the Capeliños volcano and ancient lava fields that cover the region. Strong Atlantic winds sweep across the open terrain, shaping waves of ash and volcanic sand into shifting patterns that resemble a barren extraterrestrial surface. The eruption of 1957-58 extended the island's landmass and left behind a hauntingly beautiful terrain where vegetation has only recently begun to reclaim patches of ground. Capello stands as a raw testament to Portugal's volcanic forces. 26. The castle floating above the clouds. Marvão. Marvão rises atop a narrow granite ridge in the Serra de São Mamede, so high that on misty mornings the village looks as though it floats above the clouds. Its geography offered such a strategic advantage that it became one of Portugal's most impenetrable fortresses. Steep cliffs drop away on all sides, granting defenders clear views of Spain and the plains below. The castle walls follow the contours of the ridge, creating a structure that appears almost fused with the mountain. Marvão's sky-high position gives it some of the most breathtaking panoramas in the country. 25. The blue waters of Alcava, Europe's largest artificial lake. The Alcava Reservoir transformed the Alentejo landscape by creating one of Europe's largest artificial lakes, covering over 250 square kilometers. Formed by damming the Guadiana River, Alcava reshaped valleys, submerged villages, and turned parched plains into a vast water system that supports agriculture, tourism, and energy production. Its calm, deep waters form new shorelines, peninsulas, and islands where wildlife has rapidly adapted to the changed geography. The region's low population density and minimal light pollution make Alcava one of the best stargazing locations in Europe, reinforcing the lake's importance beyond its hydrological impact. 24. Portugal's subtropical garden, Madeira's Laurisilva Forest. Madeira's Laurisilva, a dense subtropical forest, is one of the last surviving remnants of the ancient laurel forests that once covered southern Europe. Its geography includes steep ridges, mist-shrouded valleys, and slopes drenched in moisture from Atlantic clouds. This constant humidity feeds waterfalls, moss-covered trees, and thriving ecosystems found almost nowhere else on the continent. The forest owes its survival to Madeira's isolation and mountainous terrain, which shielded it from centuries of deforestation. Today, the Laurisilva is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and an invaluable glimpse into Europe's prehistoric climate. 23. The Serra da Estrela, Portugal's Alpine Heart. Serra da Estrela, the highest mountain range on mainland Portugal, reaches 1,993 meters at its peak. Its geology is dominated by granite and schist, carved by ancient glaciers that left behind U-shaped valleys, lagoons, and dramatic cliffs. The range's alpine-like climate brings snow in winter, creating a rare Portuguese ski region. The mountains also give birth to major rivers such as the Mondego and Zezere, which shape the plains below. Serra da Estrela's elevation creates sharp temperature contrasts and unique ecosystems, making it Portugal's most diverse highland environment. 22. The Enchanted River of Paiva. The Paiva River winds through one of Portugal's most untouched landscapes, cutting through granite gorges and fast-flowing rapids. Its geography has made it a hotspot for whitewater sports and home to the famous Paiva Walkways, a wooden trail clinging to cliffs along the river's edge. The surrounding region, part of the Aruca Geopark, contains rare rock formations and some of the oldest geological structures in Iberia. The river's purity and speed owe much to its steep descent and remote location, making the Paiva one of Europe's most pristine river corridors. 21. The approaching continents, Mid-Atlantic Ridge and the Azores. The Azores sit on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, where the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates meet. This unique position means the islands are slowly drifting away from Europe while rising or sinking due to volcanic activity and seismic shifts. The geography of the archipelago, its peaks, calderas, and fissures, is a direct result of these tectonic forces. Earthquakes and eruptions shaped each island differently, creating a mosaic of landscapes ranging from verdant plains to jagged volcanic cones. The Azores are one of the few places on Earth where you can stand on land formed right along a tectonic boundary. 20. The enormous Alentejo Plain. The Alentejo covers almost a third of Portugal and is defined by vast rolling plains that stretch toward the horizon. This geography creates sweeping agricultural landscapes dominated by wheat fields, olive groves, and cork oak forests. The region's low elevation and open terrain allow extreme temperature swings, scorching summers, and cold winters, while its sparse population contributes to a sense of timeless stillness. The plains have historically served as a natural corridor for migrations, armies, and trade routes, making the Alentejo both a geographical and cultural crossroads. 19. Coimbra's terraced hills. Coimbra, built on a steep hill overlooking the Mondego River, features a terraced geography that shaped its medieval layout. Narrow streets climb upward in layers, culminating in the ancient university complex at the summit. The city's location allowed it to control river crossings and dominate the surrounding region for centuries. Each terrace reflects a different era of construction, from Roman settlements near the river to Moorish fortifications and later royal residences above. Coimbra's geography created a natural hierarchy that still defines the city's identity today. 18. The Serra do Caldeirão, Algarve's secret mountains. While the Algarve is famous for its beaches, its inland landscape is dominated by the Serra do Caldeirão, a low but rugged mountain range covered in cork oaks, wild herbs, and winding river valleys. The mountains act as a natural barrier protecting the coast from northern winds, contributing to the Algarve's mild climate. Their geology, composed of shale and greywacke, creates fertile pockets that support traditional agriculture and small villages. The region's winding roads reveal a quieter, more rural Algarve shaped by centuries of isolation and self-sufficiency. 17. The Douro International Zero, Portugal's border canyon. Along the frontier with Spain, the Douro River cuts through one of the deepest river gorges in the Iberian Peninsula. Known as Douro International, this canyon reaches dramatic depths where cliffs plunge straight into the water. The geography forms a natural border and sanctuary for birds of prey such as eagles and vultures. Terraced vineyards cling to the upper slopes, but much of the canyon remains wild and inaccessible. Its steep walls create microclimates that shelter unique plant species, making it one of Portugal's most spectacular natural boundaries. 16. The Ilha de Tavira's shape-shifting shores. Ilha de Tavira, a sandy barrier island in the Algarve, changes shape due to tides, storms, and sediment transport. Its long beach, backed by dunes and wetlands, is constantly shifting. New inlets open, old ones close, and parts of the island migrate slowly along the coast. This dynamic geography supports diverse bird species and protects the mainland from storm surges. The island's ephemeral nature gives it a sense of impermanence rarely seen in Europe's more stable coastlines. 15. The Crater of Corvo, Portugal's miniature world. Corvo, the smallest island in the Azores, is essentially the summit of a single extinct volcano. Its central caldera, known as Caldeirão, forms a giant bowl housing lakes, meadows, and miniature cones created by secondary eruptions. The geography looks like a model of a volcanic world sculpted in perfect proportions. The caldera walls rise steeply around this hidden landscape, sheltering it from Atlantic winds. Corvo's isolation and unique formation make it one of the most geographically distinct inhabited islands on Earth. 14. The longest stretch of river beach in Portugal. By the Tagus River, the town of Constancia sits near some of the longest and most scenic stretches of river beach in the country. These sandy banks form due to the river's meandering path, which deposits sediment during seasonal floods. The surrounding geography includes steep hills, forested slopes, and the confluence of the Zazare and Tagus rivers, creating a dramatic meeting of waters. The interplay of river dynamics and terrain produces landscapes that shift subtly year after year. You was in 13. The fossil cliffs of Lorient. Lorient is one of Europe's richest dinosaur fossil sites, thanks to cliffs made of sedimentary rock that once formed floodplains and lagoons during the Jurassic period. Erosion continuously exposes new fossils, including eggs, footprints, and skeletal remains. The geography of the area, a coastline where land meets ocean and constantly eroding cliffs, allows scientists to uncover ancient secrets simply by studying newly revealed layers. Lorient's prehistoric legacy owes everything to its dynamic shoreline. 12. The Guadiana's hidden canyons. The Guadiana River, forming part of the border with Spain, flows through narrow canyons and rugged terrain that appear unexpectedly after long stretches of calm, open river. These hidden gorges were carved over millions of years, exposing shimmering quartzite and schist walls. The contrast between the peaceful upper river and the dramatic canyon sections reveals the complex geology beneath southern Portugal. The Guadiana's winding course shapes ecosystems, farmland, and ancient settlements along its banks. 11. The Berlengas, Portugal's granite frontier. The Berlengas archipelago, located off the coast of Peniche, is composed of massive granite blocks sculpted by relentless Atlantic winds and waves. Berlenga Grande, the main island, rises sharply from deep ocean waters, forming towering cliffs riddled with caves and arches. The island's geography creates isolated habitats that support rare seabirds and unique plant species. Their rugged, imposing appearance made them a strategic point for navigation and defense for centuries. Today, the Berlengas stand as a dramatic natural fortress guarding Portugal's coast. Before we get to the 10 facts that corroborate what I told you at the beginning, remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a like to become experts in world geography. 10. The deep waters of Cascais Bay. Cascais Bay sits at a geological crossroads where the continental shelf abruptly drops into deeper Atlantic waters just offshore. This sudden change in depth helped transform Cascais into a strategic harbor for centuries, offering calm anchorage near highly navigable ocean routes. The underwater topography funnels nutrient-rich currents toward the coast, supporting rich marine ecosystems and once powering thriving fishing communities. The bay's geography also contributes to its famously stable surf and sailing conditions, making it a magnet for maritime activity since ancient times. 9. The Algarve's Golden Cliffs. The Algarve's coastline is carved from limestone and sandstone cliffs formed over millions of years when the region lay beneath warm, shallow seas. As the ocean receded, erosion sculpted these soft rock layers into arches, pinnacles, coves, and hidden beaches that now define southern Portugal's postcard-perfect scenery. The cliff's golden color comes from iron-rich sediments oxidizing in the sun, creating a warm glow at sunrise and sunset. These formations shift gradually as waves hollow out new sea caves and collapse older ones, making the Algarve one of Europe's most ever-changing coastal landscapes. 8. The Sado Estuary and its resident dolphins. The Sado Estuary near Setúbal is one of the only places in Europe where a resident population of bottlenose dolphins thrives in an estuary year-round. This is possible because of the estuary's unique geographic makeup, deep channels, nutrient-rich waters, and a mix of fresh and salt water that supports abundant fish. Surrounded by sandbanks, rice fields, and the Arabida mountain range, the estuary forms a protected natural amphitheater that shelters marine and bird life. The dolphins have adapted perfectly to this environment, making the Sado a rare and precious ecological jewel. 7. The enormous Vuga Delta. The Vuga River, flowing into the Aveiro Lagoon, forms one of Portugal's most intricate delta systems. The lagoon's geography, shallow waters, tidal flats, and marshlands creates a constantly shifting mosaic of islands and channels. These wetlands are essential to migratory birds and serve as natural filters that maintain water quality, salt production, traditional fishing, and coastal agriculture have developed here precisely because of the delta's dynamic interaction between river and tide. The Vuga system demonstrates how geography shapes entire cultures and industries. 6. The endless pine forest of Leiria. The Pinhal de Leiria, a vast pine forest planted in the 13th century, stretches across sandy coastal plains once threatened by shifting dunes. The forest's geography, flat terrain, sandy soil, and proximity to the Atlantic allowed pine trees to thrive and stabilize the dunes, protecting inland farmland and settlements. Over centuries, the forest grew into a massive green barrier, influencing local climate, biodiversity, and even naval history. Its wood was used to build ships during the Age of Discoveries. The Leiria Forest is an example of human action reshaping geography to transform an unstable landscape. 5. The Serra da Arabida's White Limestone Peaks. The Arabida mountain range rises abruptly from the coastline south of Lisbon, creating white limestone peaks that plunge into turquoise waters. These mountains were formed when tectonic forces pushed ancient seabeds upward, leaving behind rich limestone filled with marine fossils. The steep slopes create microclimates that allow Mediterranean and Atlantic vegetation to coexist in a rare ecological blend. Hidden coves, caves, and secluded beaches nestle beneath towering cliffs, making Arabida one of Portugal's most stunning coastal mountain systems. 4. The volcanic spine of Terceira Island. Terceira in the Azores is built from a chain of volcanic structures that form a rugged spine across the island. Its most dramatic geographical feature is the Algar do Carvão, an accessible ancient lava tube where visitors can descend into the heart of a volcano. The island's craters, lava fields, and geothermal vents reveal different phases of volcanic activity frozen in time. Fertile soils from past eruptions support lush pastures and forests, making Terceira a vivid example of how destruction and renewal coexist in volcanic landscapes. 3. The Douro River's ancient path. The Douro River carved its path through Iberia long before the mountains around it rose to their current height. As tectonic forces uplifted the region, the river entrenched itself deeper, creating the dramatic valleys and steep terraces that define northern Portugal today. This unusual geological history explains why the Douro flows through narrow canyons surrounded by towering slopes. Its ancient origins shape not only the terrain, but also the world-famous winemaking culture that emerged from its fertile hillsides. 2. The underwater volcano of Serreta. Just off the coast of Terceira lies the Serreta underwater volcano, a reminder that Portugal's geography extends far below the ocean surface. Between 1998 and 2000, submarine eruptions reshaped the seafloor, creating new volcanic cones and releasing plumes of ash and gas. Though hidden from view, the volcano influences local seismic activity and marine ecosystems. Its presence highlights the immense volcanic forces still shaping the Azores today, proving that Portugal's geography is alive, dynamic, and continuously evolving. 1. Portugal's Atlantic identity. The most defining geographical fact of all is Portugal's relationship with the Atlantic Ocean. Nearly every major landscape, from mountains and plains to islands and estuaries, has been shaped by its winds, currents, storms, and geological forces. The Atlantic carved cliffs, fed rivers, moderated the climate, and isolated volcanic islands where unique ecosystems flourish. It determined settlement patterns, influenced culture, and inspired centuries of exploration. Portugal's geography cannot be understood without acknowledging the ocean that borders, transforms, and defines it. In every corner of the country, the Atlantic is the guiding force behind the land itself. Now that you know these 50 facts about Portugal, tell us, which one did you like the most, or which one surprised you the most? We'd love to read your opinion in the comments and see how many of us picked the same number. And something else many of us will probably agree on is watching the video I'm leaving on screen, because we all love sharing and learning interesting facts. And that's exactly what this video is all about. But before you watch it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Otherwise, we might not see each other again.